What's up, everybody? My name is Vince. Welcome to the channel. Today's video, we're going to help out the automotive community, the wrench turners, the DIYers that get out and do some work on their own vehicles, and also the professional mechanics out there that want to know about some of Milwaukee Tools mechanics tools, how we like them, how they perform, and if they can get the job done. And I know what you're all saying, but Vince, you're not a mechanic. You're not a professional mechanic. How can you give us an accurate review of how these tools perform? You're right. I only spin wrenches as a hobbyist, but we got a special guest today. His name is Nick, and he is a professional mechanic. Nick, tell him a little bit about yourself.
I'm a certified Mercedes Benz tech at Cherry Hill Mercedes Benz.
He's also bashful. So he's helping us out so we can more accurately review these tools. It's all coming right up after this message from our sponsor, VCG Construction. So here's the deal. Nick has used these on the job as an authorized Mercedes Benz tech. He has some footage. We're gonna kind of review the footage with you. Okay, we're gonna talk about what he found in each of these clips. So what's the first clip, Nicholas?
Removing a rear entertainment DVD system in a GL.
GL what? Because listen, bro, if it's like a GL 320 or something, we don't care about it. What is it?
GL 550.
A GL 550, that's what's up. That's what Nick works on, GL 550s. Now, you were using the 1/4 inch, and you used it with the Compact 2.0? Yes. I see you adapted it down to work with 1/4 inch hex. It looks like you're driving fasteners. Yeah. All right, so tell me, what did you like about the 1/4 inch in this application?
Right here, it's good because they're longer metal screws going into plastic.
Okay.
It's very hard to control the torque, and any over torquing of it, it'll crack the plastic. It won't hold anymore. So I like that I could choose the speed on top, and in setting 1, it has plenty of torque to get the job done, but not enough to crack anything, and it just gets it.
So what you're saying is, also in speed 1, I guess, there's 4 different settings here. It has plenty of torque, but it's not going so quick and fast that you're not going to over torque and crack. Gotcha. So you like it for this application. Is there anything in this application you didn't like about it?
I mean, no, because it was the perfect size. I have a variety of torques and hex bits, and I have different lengths. So the size of it was perfect. I had plenty of open space to maneuver the whole body of it.
Okay.
And I could have got into these screws with a much shorter bit, but it was just for convenience.
Gotcha. Okay, let's move on to the next clip. So what are you doing in this clip here, Nick?
So this is an older engine. It's a V6. It had a misfire, and just diagnosed that it was going to be spark plugs and a single coil was bad.
Okay.
So I take the 1/4 inch with a T30 and just take all the coil packs off, lay them out, and then I get in there, place spark plugs, and then reverse it with the universal, so I can actually get the front ones aren't bad. Towards the rear, you hit the strut tower of the car.
Okay.
So you need the universal to just get around a little bit to get the bolts out.
So in this application, what do you think the assets, was there something that was very favorable that this tool did? Is there, can you tell me the negatives and the positives of the tool in this application?
It worked just as well as any other thing I've used. Its one problem is it is slightly wider than most other tools.
So when Nick says most other, what he's comparing it to, I guess most other of the tools that he uses, he's using Snap-on. This is your first time using these line of tools from Milwaukee?
Never used anything Milwaukee.
So compared to Snap-on,
it's a little fatter towards the head of it.
Yes.
So it is a little less favorable in some positions, like in engine bays. But the best thing to use would probably be an electric ratchet.
Gotcha. We didn't have one of those to give to Nick to use, so sorry. What's the pro compared to other things that you're using, and the pro in using this tool for that application?
Well, this is good because it can go from going to plastic, not wanting to crack it and setting one. And these bolts are torqued over 40 Newton meters, so it's pretty hard to get it out.
Yes.
So speed 3 takes them out no problem.
So you like the different settings. Is there any at any point did you use this tightening feature?
I used it. There was times where I would run bolts down with this and then I have to torque them. So speed 3, I would run a couple bolts down and I would torque it, and it would take more angle. Like instead of going about 45, I'd have to go 90 to get it to torque.
Okay.
On this tightening stage, it would only have to go to 45 and it would torque. So it got it a little bit tighter.
Okay. So it looks like you've once again adapted this tool to quarter inch.
Yeah, I used a much longer 1/4 inch extension to just get behind the steering wheel to the dashboard. So I took the instrument cluster out of this vehicle and it just came out nice and easy, because it has a really tight hog ring on it. So the extension isn't flopping around. On my one snap-on, I have to adapt it to it, but the hog ring's a little looser.
Yes.
So you can be going partial on the trigger and trying to control it, unlike you don't have to do here because of the speed control. And the extension is just flopping all over and you can't get the head of the bolt.
So this one has a tighter hog ring.
So it actually holds the extension on there tighter, so it's not moving when you don't want it to.
So in this application, that was a positive. Yes. Let me ask you this. The tighter hog ring, is it a negative in any instances?
Yes.
What did you find?
It's very nice because I'm confident I'm not going to lose the socket, but it's very inconvenient when I'm trying to get a job done and I need to switch between 2-3 different sockets or Torx bits, and I have to take it off, put the next one on, take it off, put the next one on. It gets a little hard to put it onto the anvil.
So my question is, would you rather have a looser hog ring or this sturdier hog? Like if you had to have it one way or the other, which way would you prefer it?
I'd probably have the tighter hog ring, because one of the thing is I don't like losing tools. I like having more control over them. I used it for such a short amount of time. If I had it for over a year, it probably would have loosened up a little bit and been easier to get on, and I would have got used to just having to force it a little bit harder.
I will say I know, I kind of said the same thing when I saw some of these clips. You know, I made the poor guy adapter over when I could have just sent him with Gen 2 with quarter inch collet. It would have been an impact driver. I think we're going to have Nick take this tool, see how he likes using this instead of that in these applications. So stay tuned. Smash the bell, get subscribed if you're not already, okay? Because you're not going to want to miss that. Also, make sure you're hitting the like button. Smash that like button. You know, Nick's helping us out, trying to give us feedback so you can get feedback on these tools. It's free for you to do, helps out the channel. And here on YouTube, if you smash the like button, it's not like smashing a mirror, okay? You get 7 years of good luck. All right, we have a clip here of Nick using the 1/4 inch to remove this glove box. Was there negatives, positives to using this tool in this application?
So you only have a certain amount of space because of how far the glove box drops down. In this, there's 4 or 5 bolts up top that you have to remove, so to drop it down a little bit so you can get the rest of them. So I found I have different sizes of Torx bits, like I've said, but the long one, it was too long. The shortest one I had, it wouldn't fit in. It's a little inconvenient with it in a tighter space like this, because it's just when the shallower Torx bit was on, the actual head of the tool was hitting everything and not being able to remove the bolt, and with the longer one I just couldn't fit it in the space. Other than that, it did very well. If I would have put a universal on instead, it would have come out easier.
Overall, what do you think of the 1/4 inch stubby impact wrench from Milwaukee tool?
It's very nice in open spaces. I would buy it just for interior work, mainly for myself personally, because I know I can trust it to not cracked dashes, cracked housings of things that I'm screwing into. It's just very reliable on not over torquing things.
What do you think about the rubber boots?
I like it. The boots, I wish I had them on all my other tools that I use because it protects the car, it protects the tool, and if you have a tool that works and is protected, it's nicer, it'll get the job done, and you don't have to worry about damaging customer cars.
I got a question for you. So a lot of people, when we did our unboxings of these videos, okay, you could see those here if you'd like to. A lot of people, a lot of mechanics yelled at me. They're like, you don't put the belt clip on wrenches. You're gonna scratch a car or scratch somebody's interior. Well, how do you think about that? What do you think about that? Did I make a mistake?
I wouldn't have put them on just for that reason, but it's so out of the way. Really, it's not protruding out too far that you have to worry about it. It's tucked up enough that if you're mindful of it, you're not gonna cause a problem.
So you're saying, to be legit, I should remove those?
I would.
Okay, all right, just checking. If you had to rank this tool 1 out of 10, 1 being total crap, you wouldn't spend your money on it. Number 10 is the best tool ever. You know, this is the brand, this is the tool. In this category you'd go with. Where does it fall?
I would give it a 7.
7. Okay, let's move on. This is the 3/8 anvil, stubby impact. This is also M12. It also has 4 settings. I will ask you this before we get started. They also have this tool available with a 1/2 inch anvil. 3/8, 1/2 inch, what do you think would be better suited for this tool, in your opinion?
I think for the applications I used it, the 3/8 was enough. I didn't need any bigger sockets, anything. So for lighter applications, which I did, it worked fine in 3/8.
Gotcha. So how did you make out with battery life on these tools?
Neither of them actually died the whole time I used them. I recharged them once, and that was just because it got 1 bar down, and I didn't like that. I wanted it to be full the whole time.
And tell me about the 3/8 stubby in this application. What are we doing in this video?
So this vehicle was in an accident. It broke the outer tie rod, and on this vehicle it needs to replace the whole rack. So
what vehicle is this a C, S?
this is an E-Class.
E-Class, okay.
300. So with this, I just went over each bolt with my 3/8 breaker bar and just broke them a little loose because they're torqued very high. And then I go.
You know what the torque spec is on them?
It's 90 Newton meters plus a 90-degree turn.
Gotcha.
So that 90 puts a lot of extra torque on it.
Okay.
So I just broke them loose with my 3/8 breaker bar before the video, and the Milwaukee 3/8 zipped every single bolt out with no problem, not a hesitation for it. It did more than I could have asked for with it.
So overall, you're saying it did good in zipping out the bolts. Positives, negatives, give them to me.
There was real no negative in this because, like, it's under the car. There's plenty of open space. It's not going to get hung up anywhere. It's not too heavy, so it wasn't falling back on myself, holding it upside down for longer periods of time. And it just...
With plenty powerful, or?
Yeah, it was plenty powerful. There was no real stalling of the bolt coming out.
And you were running it in speed 3?
Yes.
Okay.
The whole time with this.
Is there any applications where you see yourself using speed 1 or speed 2 with this tool?
For 3/8, not really. I would grab this for more tight objects. If it was looser, I would go for the 1/4 inch. And I can't really see a situation where I would need 1 or 2. So
I guess what I'm getting at is you're saying for the size of the tool, you prefer, and the power of the tool, you prefer the 3/8 over 1/2 inch hot ring. And because of the size of this tool, you don't see yourself using the more delicate 1 and 2 settings.
No, I would use the 3 and the tightening.
3 and tightening. All right, do we have an instance where you use the tightening in this?
This, I actually used it. I didn't show that I changed it over to when I was going back in with the rack. I used the tightening the whole time.
He has the new rack already in place, and he's using the tightening application to install those bolts. Now, my question is, you used tightening exclusively and then went back with your torque wrench?
Yes.
You didn't use speed 3 in this?
No.
Okay.
4 amp hour battery, I will say, is a must for this. I used the 2 amp hour, but I felt the tool needed the bigger battery, more power, and I don't feel the 2 amp hour would provide as much power with it.
What are the positives of this tool?
For the size of it, it's very short. It's very powerful for how it is. If you wanted something with more power, most of the time it's going to be a decent bit longer with bigger motors, and they're
And a bigger battery platform?
much bigger.
Well, this is 12 volt, so.
My one Snap-on 3/8, it's longer, thinner, but it has a 14 volt battery.
Gotcha.
So it has a little bit more voltage and does the same things as this.
What are the negatives of this?
The head of the tool is too wide. You can't fit it in tighter areas under the car. If you're trying to take a manifold bolt out from the bottom, you need extensions, of course, but if you're trying to work it around the exhaust pipe, it's very tight.
So the team lead, he's having a tough time getting in and around, where you'd say, I believe you told me previously, you had better luck with the thinner Snap-on, even though it was longer in this situation.
Because the length gave it the able to dip into the smaller area and put the swivel where it needed to go.
So my question is, you're saying that the Milwaukee is more powerful than the Snap-on,
Yes,
but this is much wider,
very.
and that makes this,
It gives it a leg up in some situations, but not others.
okay. What would be, give me the positive where you prefer to use this tool, and then tell me where you don't want to use this tool.
If it's under the car, I'll use this if it's wide open. If there's any sort of bolt that's tucked behind something or even close to anything, I won't go for this. I'll go for my Snap.
So the whole idea behind the stubby from Milwaukee was that they wanted to give more power in a much more compact form factor. What you're saying is, even though it does have the shorter length, because it's so wide, it makes it a bear to fit in those areas where you would expect to use this, but you can't.
I would use it there because it's very common to use pneumatic tools, but I've tried to go away from that because it's more convenient with these. You don't have to worry about a line. So yes, a lot of people would use pneumatic tools here, but in my situation, I would go for an electric tool, and it's very tough to fit this into some tighter spaces.
Okay, so wide open under the car, not inside the car.
I wouldn't use it inside the car. It's got too much power.
Okay, give me the one sweet spot where you're like, yeah, I'll use this under the car or in around the car. Where is this your go-to? Just wide open, but give me a for instance. Like, are we talking like, knuckles, things like that?
So on G-Wagons,
Yes.
there's metal skid plates under the entire car. They're very tight. They're thicker bolts. This takes them out no problem. My Snap-on 3/8 struggles with it.
Yeah.
You can hear it just hammering away at it, where this hammers for about 2 seconds and then zips it out.
Okay. My question would be though, is there any advantage to using this as opposed to like a full size? For instance, you're talking about being wide open. Is there any advantage to using this over using something like that to take those skid plate bolts off of? I mean, except for the obvious that there's a huge weight savings. Okay, you don't have to, is there any advantage to this over this? Is it just the weight savings?
It's mainly the weight savings because you have multiple bolts. You're not going to want to sit there with both hands holding up a tool, and it just gets annoying heavy.
So it is the weight savings.
It's also, you don't need this big of an anvil for some of them. This is a 1/2-inch anvil that's 3/8. The bolts are only 16 millimeters. I mean, yes, they make it in 1/2 inch, but it's a lot more convenience with 3/8.
Okay, gotcha. Scale of 1 to 10. Worst tool ever? The best in its class, best in the league. Where are you at with the 3/8 stubby?
I would give it a 5.
A 5, middle of the road. And the biggest factor in giving it that 5, in your opinion, is the width.
The width is the main.
Is there anything else that's dropping it to a 5?
No, it's in every other scenario it works perfectly fine. It's just the width.
Okay, it's a big factor. And finally, one of my favorites. Let's move on to Milwaukee socket set with their 4 flat sockets. We have some clips here. Tell me about what you got going on. Tell me what you think of them.
So this is the same E-Class. It's the 2 wheels I had to take off of it.
Okay.
They decided they didn't like a curb and hit it. So I had to replace the wheels and tires. The TPMS sensors, the tire pressure monitors, had to go with the new wheels.
Swap them over to new wheels so they'll identify.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So take an 11 millimeter and the 3/8 ratchet, just break them loose. Once you get the tire off, just start them the rest of the way out. It worked very well for that because there's a hole in it where the TPMS sensor sits. The walls were thin enough that slid right in there and all the way down.
You know, a lot of people, this is the deal. I'll never make sense of it. We have people, I think they just have nothing to complain about, so they complain. They're like, oh, the 4 flats, it makes the socket bigger and you can't fit in spots, which never made sense to me because especially like if you look at this 11 millimeter, it actually makes the socket more slender in certain areas. So what you're saying is that these sockets are thin wall enough that you're able to get it around the TPMS, is that right?
Yeah.
Sensor and fit within the small hole in the magnesium wheel. Are those wheels made in, are they made in magnesium or aluminum?
A lot of them are aluminum. There's few that are made very, very light.
Is there any other features you really like about the socket set?
I like the 4 flats because there's some situations where I would like to fit a ratchet, but it's too fat. Like the width of the ratchet itself, any ratchet, it's not just this one.
Okay.
And I can slide a thinner wrench up in there and put it on the end and break.
So you did use it for that?
Yeah. That was one of the main things I wanted to do with it when I saw them because this is the first socket set I've ever seen with 4 flats.
Gotcha.
I wish the ratchet was a little bit longer because it's good for a lot of things. It's just when you have some things that are torqued a little bit tighter, you want a little bit more leverage. But for a nice starter set, this is perfectly fine.
Starter set for, what do you mean?
Anything, just if you...
For a professional mechanic or when you say starter set, you don't mean like for a DIY or something. You say whatever you want. I want you to be honest. Are you saying that this is for a serious mechanic, or are you saying that it's a starter set for a serious mechanic?
I would do this for any DIYer at home. This is perfect. You have more than enough. For a professional mechanic, you can have this. It would be nice to have because of the 4 flats. It makes it very convenient. But you're going to need a lot more than just that.
Oh, of course you would, more tool-wise. But I'm saying, as far as the construction, the socket, the wrench themselves, the sockets, do you think the quality is up there with other professional tools that you've used?
Yes, it's up there in quality. The ratchet has a nice fine tooth to it. It actually has more teeth than some of my other...
Teethuses. We say teethuses here. No, I'm only kidding. Go ahead.
So it has more teeth in the ratchet than some other ratchets I have.
Yes.
They're Snap-on Craftsman. It works very well. The handle is nice and thick, so you don't got to worry about bending it. I actually bent the head on one of my Snap-on ratchets last week, so I didn't have to worry about that with this. And the sockets are made very well. I didn't crack a single one. I haven't used them on impact, and I wouldn't because they're chrome sockets, but I'm sure they could withstand it.
Any negatives to this set? Anything negative?
None that I can think of.
There you have it. Listen, we appreciate that. All the feedback. I know you all appreciate the feedback from a professional Mercedes Benz. What are you, technician?
Certified technician.
Certified technician. If you like getting that kind of feedback, then smash the like button. Also, leave it in the comment section. What do you want Nick to test out next? Maybe I should get my hands on some of those ratchets for you to try them.
That would be nice.
To give some feedback. I also have a set of 1/4-inch thin wall impact sockets. Nick had his eye on them. Maybe we could get some of his feedback after he uses these for a bit. I don't know. Help us out. Leave it down below. With that, I want to say I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. Thanks a lot, everybody. We'll see you all on the next one.
Video's over, but I know you want more. So this is how you're going to get it. First thing you need to do is pretend you're this guy. And you're here at the birthplace of freedom. Now ring that bell like it's 1776 and let all notifications through. What? You're not subscribed yet? Well, smash this button here. After that, watch this video here, and maybe over here. See you later.